Hello, in this video we are going to do a texture hunt and create beautiful texture rubbings. You can find textures all around your house. Some surfaces or items that include texture include flooring, tiles, the sole of your shoe, walls, tables, counters, and more. Some textures that I found around my house included the backside of a rug, popsicle sticks when put in a line, a paper plate, and even the top of a stool. Texture is the way that something feels, or the way that something looks like it feels. There are items all around your house with a variety of different textures. Here I lined up a bunch of popsicle sticks and am now coloring over it with a crayon. When I do this, I have to push really hard so that the texture shows up. If you're really gentle when coloring, your texture will not show. Next, I have a piece of burlap. Burlap is really loosely woven fabric and has a really neat texture. It feels horrible on the skin and definitely is not used for clothing. It's used for things like potato sacks and typically art these days. It has wonderful texture for creating texture rubbings. I noticed that the edge of this paper plate has a cool texture, so I decided to try it as well. Right now, I'm flattening out the side to see if that will make it easier for me to put a piece of paper onto it. As I rub, I'm getting quite a bit of texture and a really neat design. It's fun to try different items from around your house that you maybe haven't thought of or that you don't typically think have a really strong texture. Here, I decided to try the part that's more curved without being flattened. The texture is definitely more dominant, and it wasn't actually that hard to color. As I'm doing this, I decided that I kind of like the edge of the plate as well. When it transitions to the table, it has a neat texture. Sandpaper's also great. Different grits of sandpaper, coarser sandpaper versus fine sandpaper, create different textures. Coarser sandpaper is going to be bumpier, and finer is going to be smoother. Here I've got a canvas board. The canvas board is what's used by many artists to paint on, mostly for practice though. It has a really cool texture as well. And this is the top of a computer. Yes, I just happen to have the top of a computer laying around. Next, I'm using the back side of a rug. This is the front rug when you come into my house. It's just a doormat. The back side has a really neat texture. The front side is too soft to work well for a texture rubbing, but I sure could have tried it. Lastly, I'm trying the top of a stool. This stool has a bunch of squares on it, and while it's not typically thought of as a texture, the variation in the surface helps people stand on it without slipping off, so it definitely is a texture, and I'm getting a really neat texture rubbing. I've decided that I like it when the textures overlap, when I put one color on top of another, rather than just working in defined spaces. I'm going back and adding texture rubbings in any spots that need a little bit of something else. Now that you have this beautiful texture rubbing, one thing you can do with it is find a quote and write it on your texture rubbing. One of my favorites is "Creativity is Intelligence Having Fun" by Albert Einstein. Start by just lightly writing your quote in big letters across your paper with pencil. Don't go for any particular lettering style. Instead, go with your own. Your own handwriting has its own unique style. Then use a marker to trace over your lettering and accentuate or make some parts curved. You can do all kinds of fun things with the lettering. Just start with your own handwriting and then trace the outside, add lines, and so on. This video was made by Tara Gary and music by Audiotrix.com.